Hey guys, Lisa Callaghy here to share with you a video on how to use the Fast Phonics dashboard report so that you can see the students that need extra help and provide them with support and resources. All right, let's get started. So here I am on a teacher's homepage in Reading Eggs. Now I'm going to come down to where it says Fast Phonics and choose Reports. From here, I'm going to choose the dashboard report. Okay, so let me explain a little bit about this report and what you will find here and how you will be able to determine the students that need some extra help. All right, so beginning, you'll see at the top the name of the teacher for the class. You will see a calendar with dates, and it's a date range. This is very important because you're able to choose ranges of dates where you can get some information that you're looking for, specifically maybe information that is within a certain time period, to see how your students are doing, like a month or even after the second placement test or between the first placement test but before the second placement test. So you're able to play around with the range of dates to get some different information. Next, you'll see that you can view this information on your Fast Phonics dashboard in chart view, which is what we're seeing right now, or in table view, which is what I prefer. But of course, it's everybody's own preference. Next, you can export this report or this you can export this report, but as a chart, you can only print it. But when we switch over to table, which we will in a second, I'll show you that you can export as a CSV, which is a spreadsheet. And then if you'd like to look for any specific student within your class, you can find a student and see their individual report. All right, so now I'm going to switch over to the table report because I feel like it's easier for me to be able to sort and find information that I'm looking for. So clicking over to table, now it's taking that information that we just saw in a chart and putting it into kind of like a spreadsheet. So let's go over what we're seeing here. First, you'll see a top header bar and then subheadings. So under students, you will see obviously first name, last name, and classes. And notice these arrows, they are arrows that allow you to sort. So sorting by name, first name, last name, by alphabetical order A to Z, Z to A, you can do that with those little arrows. Next, you'll see peak progress. Now this is the area of the report that you're probably going to want to look at carefully so that you can be aware of the students that are kind of maybe either falling behind or they are behind to begin with and need some extra support beyond Fast Phonics. So first, we see here initial peak. And what is this? The initial peak is the place where the students land once they finish the placement test. So let's look at the range within Fast Phonics of peaks. Peaks are the same as maps that are used in Reading Eggs or Reading Express. So to find the peak range that correlates to a specific grade level, we need to come over to the teacher library and we need to come over to the management section and we need to click on Manage Progress. So managing progress is going to bring you to the page that has charts. And these charts help you determine by the students' lessons that they're on for Reading Eggs or lessons that they're on for Reading Express or peaks that they're on for Fast Phonics. It will tell you pretty much what area within the program that they fall into. Fast Phonics is a phonics program, so it's mostly for students that are just beginning to learn the sounds of the letters themselves, identifying letters and sounds, and so forth. So it's mostly a kindergarten to early first grade. So once you notice that the peaks have a different range, you can tell where your students lie. So it's probably anybody in peaks 1 to 5, or they land on peaks 1 to 5 after their placement test. They're very early kindergarten students. They're learning the alphabet and the short vowel sounds. Any student that lands in peaks 6 through 12 are in phase 3, and that's digraphs and long vowel sounds within those peaks, those lessons. And then peak 13 to 20 is phase 4 and 5, and that's adjacent consonants and alternative spellings. Okay, so it's probably towards the end of kindergarten, beginning of first grade. So let's go back, and we're looking probably, now this is a first grade class, so we're probably any student that isn't in the 4 or 5 range. This is the middle of the year. They should be close to at least the 5 range, to be a little bit behind. They really should be here in reading eggs in the 51 to 100 lesson range, but depends. All right, so let's go back and take a look at your class. So initial peak is where they started. Highest peak is where they are currently. Now remember, I have this date range, so it will help me to see where I'm starting from. So my start was on peak 1 back in September, I guess, when the student started, even though that says August. And then the highest peak completed is 2. All right, so this student is in need of some support because within a half of a year, they've only progressed to peak 2, which is still within the lowest range of peaks. Okay, so highest peak completed is a great area, a great column to sort so that you can see which students fall into the lowest range. And it looks like most of these students here, so maybe this student is close to the end of Fast Phonics, but is still probably a little bit behind. Let them finish out Fast Phonics and then give them the placement test for reading eggs and see where they fall, and let them continue within reading eggs with their lessons and maps. The rest of the students, it's here, I'm sorry, peaks completed. So, I'm sorry, highest peak completed is 8. So 8s are pretty good, right? So let's keep going down. So we're looking at the kids at the lowest end, and if I wanted to, I could just have sorted that way to see the kids that are on peak 1. So these peaks are the early kindergarten, I guess. So, whoops, I didn't mean to click that. So now we know who they are. So what we could do is we could dive deeper. But before we do that, let me just continue on this table so you could see. Every time a student completes a peak, they get a quiz. Okay, so this student completed 2 quizzes, and the average score for this student on their quizzes is an 86, which is pretty good. Next, you'll see how many words the student has learned, how many sounds they've learned, and how many books they've read. Okay, so within the peaks, students read books. So it's showing you a total for each student here beneath those columns and across in the students' names. And then we have certificates earned, usage within the program, which is the total count of peaks completed and books read, and then total time in program by hours by each student. And notice there is a total row here that gives you the total for the entire class that's within Fast Phonics. Okay, so to find the students that need resources and support, you're going to use the peak progress. So let's take a look at the student here who's completed the highest peak is peak 2. And let's go and click on the student's name. Now we're going to get results for this student, and it's going to show us some more detail. it will show us the initial peak, the highest peak, total peaks completed, total mastered. Okay, then it's going to show you the recent activity. Now this is where it's important to choose a date range. So keep in mind you can select a date range that falls after the second placement test or that falls before the second placement test that includes the time frame from September to December and get that information. But basically this is going to show you the actual skills that the students may be having some areas of trouble with. Okay, these are the books read, and then coming back up, you see the quizzes. So most of this information you already see in that table, but what we don't see is this area of weakness, right? So it's showing you the end of a peak quiz is failed. So peak 2, the student failed the quiz at 70%. The highest percentage, or I'm sorry, the lowest percentage for passing is 80%. So this student is having issues with these letters, probably sounds, identifying them, and so forth. So it just gives you some more information about where the student lies within the progress of Fast Phonics and the areas that the student needs support in. Okay? So also here, if you know the names of the students that you want to look further deeper into, you can click here and find those students based upon the chart that we saw, and we sorted by highest peak completed. Okay, so this has been a video on the Fast Phonics dashboard report to help you find students that need support in specific areas and skills within reading eggs. Okay, I hope this helped. Have a great day.